They get I swear they do.
It's a challenge.
Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors for August 18, 2026. Roll call, please, Ms. Showalter.
Schwartz.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
Brandt.
Here.
Kurtenbach.
Here.
Leyland.
Here. Would everyone please join us for a moment of silence to reflect on our actions this morning? Thank you. Would you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1 is the agenda received as proposed or amended.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The agenda is received. Item 2, public comments. Is there anyone in the audience today that would like to speak on something that is not on today's agenda? Please give your name and address, please.
You bet. Good morning, Mark Golden, 217 3rd Street, Washburn. Just like a small incident or whatever. Trying to figure out what are the rules of the road for motorcycles, UTVs, ATVs out in Washburn. Like dirt bikes, all that stuff, is all that? I'm getting conflicting stories from different people on what is legal, what is not legal. If they follow the stop signs, the speed limits, everything is legal. So just because there's a lot of activity out there is all.
When you say mixed responses, have you talked to like the sheriff's office, those kind of mixed responses, or just neighbors, or?
I have talked to neighbors who have talked to the sheriff's department.
Okay.
Yeah, so just concerned.
Try to speak directly to the sheriff's office.
Okay,
Sometimes things will get lost in translation, or
Okay.
that's how you're going to get their interpretation of what the sheriff said,
okay,
and then you interpret what they said.
okay,
And now it's a completely different story.
yeah.
I think it'd be something good for us as well, though. I was going to say so that we all hear what it is that
Yeah.
they say, so
Yeah.
we can certainly check and
'Cause
see too.
I'm hearing that being that it's in Blackhawk County,
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah,
things happen.
yeah.
Yep,
And a little more housing and everything in that
Yes,
area
yes.
too, in that particular area, just than rural, typical rural. So,
Yep.
yeah, if we can
That'd
all,
be good.
would help us all. I know I couldn't answer that, so
Okay.
thank you.
Is it something we could have Nate come and give us a
Well, we
presentation
can
on or
find out
something?
and see where it
info?
is, like I said,
Yeah.
or if it's somehow getting the information out or whatever too. But yeah, no, we can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Anyone else that would have a public comment, something they'd like to speak on?
Morning Supervisors, Justin Jensen with Senator Joe Ernst's office. Just here to listen to what's going on in the county. I just want to thank you all for your service and appreciate all you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir.
Anyone else? Anyone online? All right, item 3, claims and payments. This is a resolution that the Board of Supervisors approve expenditures and that the county auditor be authorized and directed to issue payments against the various settlement of such claims as allowed.
So moved. Second.
Good morning. Good morning, Board. Our total claim payment today is $645,253.61. And out of that, we're paying $3,135.80 from the 60/40 fund. In terms of large or significant payments today, actually, they're probably routine, but ECM aggregates where we have some large payments for Mile Rock and Shoulder Rock. I can't talk. About 70,000-ish approximately to that. Otherwise, everything appears to be routine and all appears to be in order. There is one change, an account split on a payment to ASPRO that when it was originally put in was all put to one fund, is being split to a couple, but the total doesn't change. So that'd just be a small change on your printout. And that's all I have today.
Any questions for Michelle? No. This is a resolution. Please answer. Your name is called.
Brandt.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Kurtenbach.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 4, receive project updates from department heads and elected officials.
Good morning, Board. Kathy Nicholas, engineer. Brief update on our bridge crew activities. They are out working on Oxley Road to prepare for that bridge replacement later this year. They have to build a temporary road while that bridge is replaced. Meanwhile, our crane is continuing to sit on Hoff Road, where we are awaiting repairs for the crane there. Another item that I wanted to bring to your attention today was our shop on South Union Road. The city of Cedar Falls is proposing to construct a roundabout at Union Road and West 27th Street. They are having public meetings about this. They have notified us that they need a construction easement from us for the construction of the roundabout. They are modifying, their design to allow a driveway to allow access to that facility in the roundabout. We continue to not need that property. We continue to spend about $50 to $60 a month on that property for the utility bills. We would like to dispose of the property. If this were done in a timely manner, perhaps it could alter their design of the roundabout. So I'd just like to bring that to your attention, and if I can do anything to speed that process along, please let me know. Can I answer any questions?
I was going to say timeline is fairly immediate, I assume then. for you.
The city of Cedar Falls is proposing to have a public meeting next month concerning their roundabout. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Kelly.
Any other updates?
Good morning, Board. Caitlin Emmerich from Public Health. I just wanted to bring your attention to information I shared with the Board of Health and the Board of Supervisors yesterday via email. It's a summary of the town halls that Iowa Health and Human Services presented to local public health and human services agencies in the month of July, outlining their plan for public health system alignment. So in the one pager, it outlines the two phases that are being proposed for public health system alignment beginning January 1 of 27, so fiscal year 28. In this phase, they propose that the first phase would occur for about an 18-month period and would include local assessments and capacity analysis that would then be used to inform their phase 2. So in the first phase, the funding for us would not change. They would not change any of the 4 grant funding streams that they've identified as being part of public health realignment. So that includes our local public health services grant, immunization grant, childhood lead poisoning prevention. And then there's a 4th funding source that we don't receive funds for, but it would be part of that funding. It's the Healthy Eating Active Living funds, or the HEAL funds. And so the funding to be available in this first phase is about $592,000 per district. Just as a reminder, we're in District 7, which includes, it's the largest district in the state, includes over 1 million people. And then in the second phase, which would begin July 1 of 2028, that is when the structure of the system alignment would change our funding streams. So our grants that currently go to each individual county within the district would then go to a lead entity, and the lead entity would distribute those funds. So that's the anticipated timeline of when we would expect our grant funds to change. It's a lot of information that's coming out right now. The RFP we expected to be released yesterday was not released, and as of this morning, it still hasn't been released. So I was kind of hoping we'd have a little bit of extra information with that RFP, but we haven't seen that yet. So once we do, we'll be able to better take a look at that RFP and assess whether it's something that is appropriate for us to apply for or not. Any questions for me on that?
Caitlin, is the funding the same in each district despite the difference in populations?
In the first phase, the funding is the same, so the $592,000, that's what each district would receive. And then into the second phase, it would be based on their funding allocation formulas. So District 7, because we are largest in population, would have a greater amount of funding compared to the other districts.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me?
Thanks, Caitlin.
Okay, thank you.
I would add a quick update. Our external auditors will be here tomorrow and Thursday, at least we're expecting them. Although I just thought I'd let you all know they will be in the office, and we're getting started on the fiscal 26 audit, so lots to do.
They're going to be housed in the IT conference room, I assume?
Yes, yep. That was all.
Anyone online with any updates? All right, thank you. Item 5, minutes approved for August 11, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Item 6 is the consent agenda. The following items are acted upon by a single resolution without separate discussion unless someone wishes to have questions on an item.
So moved.
Second.
It's the resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Kurtenbach,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 7, contracts and agreements. Resolution to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $11,092.09 for the Washburn Sewer System Pump Panel Replacement Contract with Urban Services LLC, as recommended by Michelle Weidner, Finance Director.
So moved. Second.
Hey, Al,
Good morning.
I think I'll have a, well, Ben, do you want to speak first? We can do yours.
Yeah, we'll do whatever.
And then, yeah, why don't we do yours first? That'll be fine.
Okay. Good morning, Board. Ben Delgardelle, Urban Services. This is a end cap presentation of sorts and a change order that goes along with that. So the change order basis is we discovered that there were 5 extra panels. We didn't have the correct number at the signing of the contract. We are under, each piece had its own, so simplex has had its own price, duplex has had its own price, and we're under, if we multiplied those by the quantities, we're under that cost. So we ended up with 150 panels changed. I certainly would have come to you prior if I had all the cumulative numbers together. I would have asked prior to that, but being that this is an entire project of Washburn sewer system, I didn't want to leave 5 off. So we sort of got the work done, did the cumulative billing, and then Michelle and I have communicated about that. So where did the display go? How do I forward? Just click.
I can do
Okay.
it.
Okay, so first I just wanted to go through, I didn't ever really get to present why we're doing a project like this. And these were things that noticed by the DNR in our not the most previous, but the prior inspection that we've had. We do inspections every 5 years. So aging of the system with pump panels, power to the pumps, and the enclosures for the panels, also the access lids were a topic of discussion to how long are they going to hold up so that people aren't able to, we've had kids biking over them, using them as ramps and stuff like that. So we don't want to cause a public hazard. So why don't you go ahead and move forward there. So the posts are rotten out. This one's leaning over quite a bit. You can see some aging of the lid and the control panel there. Some of the posts were breaking off at the ground level from contact there, moisture contact. Frequently, go ahead. Just a few examples of the problem. So the box on the right is actually the incoming and outgoing power, and there's screws that go into the wood post. Those screws obviously were failing there, and if that becomes too much of a hazard, we could have an electrical problem there. Same things were happening on the front side. We had the fiberglass was deteriorating so much that some of the locks on the panels the rivets were pulling out, just aging from the sun and rain and time. These were installed in 1999, so we've been going on 22, 25 years when this whole project came up. Go ahead, Michelle. This is, we're starting to dig out one of the panel posts here and move forward. We ran into a lot of roots around posts. It's really hard to dig in. I'm just showing some examples of what our work looked like. Go ahead. Another one where the post is falling off, or the panel's falling off the back and the panels are falling off the front. This is an in progress panel change. You see the electrical panel at the back. We replaced the post. You see the old panel off to the side. Replace the post, panel, rewire everything. A new lid's laying there, tools. Just an in progress photo. Go ahead. This is a completed photo. New lid, new panel, new post. We used black plastic posts. They're not structural, but for an electrical panel, they're good. We wouldn't build a deck on those, but they are less prone to weathering and time. So they should last longer than the new panels will. In progress, wire electrical being done. The wiring for the pumps is in the middle, and then the power would come into the conduit that's off to the right at the bottom of the panel. So the old panels had power coming into the back, which is not code now. It has to come in the bottom for rain reasons. So these are all liquid tight. They have a sealer on the door. And go ahead, Michelle. And then there is a dead front on this, so that even as a technician, you would not get harmed by working in that. You could power it off at our power source, and then you could do your electrical work. But just sticking your fingers in there, you would not get any danger. So it's a little bit safer work environment for us. This is a duplex panel. You see 2 sets of breakers, and then there's a third breaker for the alarm panel itself. Simplexes would just have one pump breaker and then an alarm breaker next to it. Okay, so this is a side profile of a new panel installed. You see the new post, new lid, and the panel on the front there. We backfill them. Some of them have leaned a little bit. They're not perfectly level, but that weather just does that for us, so we do the best we can. This is the front profile, same thing. Go ahead, Michelle. I just put this on here to show you how closely utilities can work together. At the top, obviously, this is our post and our pump station. Towards the very bottom of the hole, that's a gas main. They had a gas leak at one of these locations, so this was actually the gas crew. I was on site for their excavation of this. I did locating. I think it was an emergency at that time, but you can see our pump power cables traveling to the pump station, and then they would leave and go to the left, but those were discovered. We kept them safe, obviously. They knew they were there, and I was able to help them get going, but that's a gas valve and gas service. So a few things we run into in the field I just want to make residents aware of, that we don't want to come ruin your landscaping or you know, plants that are around these, but there are instances obviously where we have to get into these. So just making people aware that it'd be nice to have them trimmed a little bit, but we don't intentionally come ruin things. We just do the best we can, but we do need around 6 feet of space around these, all directions. Got to pull a pump out, put a pump in, do some electrical work around them. So go ahead. Another one, just keep things trimmed back for us. I can work in this, but it's a lot easier of a day for me when I don't have to. Go ahead. This one is actually a new panel we had installed, and I would like to talk to the homeowner here. I'm not going to pick on anybody, but I just don't want to ruin someone's day when they come home from work or whatever. So I'm going to probably trounce a lot of this stuff if I have to change a panel or a pump here, but it's not intentional. But there are work that needs to be done around these. So
you do, Ben, try to leave the landscaping intact as much
I mean,
as you
yeah,
can,
we
just so
do.
you've got to walk.
We do. We got 2 guys there, and then we got 2 pumps that we have to lay out, and so do the best we can. And we have actually gone around and sprayed some. We had some thorn bushes around some of them, so we've sprayed those with weed killer. I don't want to run into anything that we can't easily get around. Sometimes I'm working at night when it's dark, and it's just easier to have a cleared area. So this picture here, so we did have some warranty issues involved with the new panels. I dealt with 17 different instances of warranty work. And so that caused a few, I don't have an exact number for you, Michelle, today, but it caused a few pump changes because we thought the pump was causing an error. So we worked with the supplier on the warranty issues, working through new technology for us and what could be going on. They did have some bad parts that were in. So we pulled pumps out. This is just a small example, but if you look at the middle joint there, there's a lot of corrosion. We are faced with a difficult task of deciding whether or not to reuse these parts. So this one we decided not to reuse because the bolt face was too compromised, and it made more sense for us to scrap this pump. But just a small example of the decisions we have to make day in and day out as far as replacement versus rebuilding. So this is an extreme style pump. It works with air chambers instead of floats. Floats in sewage systems, they get stuff stuck to them and they get held down so they don't work. So this uses an air chamber, and it measures inches of water, really tight, really tight measurement of air, that when water comes up, it pushes air into a pocket, and there's a switch in there that turns the pump on, and then there's another one that's a little bit less sensitive, takes a little more water to push and turn the alarm on. So those water levels aren't on floats, they're on air chambers and pockets. So
I think that's all the slides.
not sure what else I put in here, actually.
I think that's it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So any questions for me?
Glad to see you get done.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
I was too.
Probably felt
To
pretty good.
recognize some of the
Yeah,
panels.
probably felt pretty good.
Yeah, I was too. So,
So did you do, what is 150 in total?
yep, 150 total.
That's all the residential parcels out there?
Yeah, so they share, a lot of residences share. So the simplexes will have one or two houses on them. If they go to three houses, they install the duplex panel, so there's two pumps inside. So in instances where there was 4 surrounding houses, they would hook up those via gravity to the pump station, and then from the pump station, it's force main to the lagoon, and that's where our opening is. It's basically an open faucet up there, and water, it's the only way water can escape is the lagoon. So the manhole, the influent manhole that was replaced with a different project by a different contractor last year. So that's where that water all ends up. 150 panels. We very happy to have it done. So this is going to allow us to do a little bit more data work in the future that we've never really billed for that. Something we never could do is capture hours, run cycles, run times, high and low amperages. So I'd like to incorporate some of that, but I also want to be smart about if I spend 10 hours a month doing that, is it paying us back for what the time I'm putting into it? So we do have data available for us now with these new panels, but just mentioning that Michelle and I will probably work on how much time to invest in that and what the results can be.
Deal.
Been talking about this one for a long time. I was gonna
We
say,
have, yeah.
back when those ARPA
Yeah,
dollars
I
first
appreciate-
became available.
Yeah, I appreciate the extra time you gave me on this. I'd like to also thank Michelle and Lori for a lot of communication that went into this. I'd like to thank my guys, Brian, Mike, and Brian, for their help. I did a lot of work out there too, but those guys knocked it out of the park. So I appreciate.
Are you gonna be at the meeting at Hawkeye Tech?
I didn't know about it.
Oh, okay. I think
You can send me a text or something.
I'll try my best.
Okay. Just another one reminder is I've got a lot of lights that have been on, and I haven't gotten exact calls for those. I did have an issue where my phone changed from US Cellular to T-Mobile, so the voicemail was screwed up for a few days, and I got some messages that they weren't able to get a hold of me. So it should be all healed now. But if we're seeing lights out there, if you're silencing the alarms, please call the 319-240-3967 number. Leave a voice message with the pump number or your address, or the address of the alarm. A lot of neighbors will see somebody else's light on and call, which is good. But I really would like to be alerted to those so that I can get out there right away. So,
Mark, you're talking about the township, all meeting or whatever, okay.
yeah, I didn't know about it, but
We can, that was gonna be.
we'll see
kind
what
of
it is for
department.
schedule, and I'll be there if I can. So,
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Yep.
what's going on. Good, thank you.
anything else?
No, thanks,
Okay.
Sheriff.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. Thank
you. Great, yeah.
Thank you.
So Al, do you want to turn that back on? I did a short presentation just summarizing the contract, but we've seen the good stuff already, so.
The work part.
Yeah, and I will say, I did drive Washburn last night. I didn't see any alarm lights on, so that's the good news. And I actually, there's a lot of water standing around from all the rain, so that's really good that you're not seeing alarm lights on. But anyway, so just a summary, and Linda mentioned the ARPA dollars, but this project was on the board before I even started here. They scheduled it to be done in the ARPA funding, and the board approved that, and then Urban Services worked with the county to start purchasing all those pump panels, the manhole lids, all those supplies that we saw them use. And then we developed a contract between the county and Urban Services to do all that work. That original contract included only 145 pumps and supplies. So that contract amount was $429,000, just slightly over that. But as we were in the field this summer, Urban Services was finding four more that somehow weren't on that map that was used in the beginning. So that result of that is that we needed to add 5 more to get to the full 150 pump stations that are in the Washburn area. So that change order amount is $11,092.09. That calculates out about $800 less per pump than what was in that original contract. So Ben was giving us a huge discount on those. So our final contract amount then is $440,139.49. The actual work, Ben had communicated, was done by June 30th. It's just taken a while to work through all that paperwork with the pump numbers and getting all that done.
I saw the look on Rich's face. I wanted to explain. So in the contract there, it says 145 and 146. There was a mix, and then it does say that there's 70 simplexes and 75 duplexes. So we figured 145. I think her 4 number here is.
Oh, I'm sorry. It should say 5. Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
No big
That's a
deal. I just
typo.
wanted to clarify, there was a little
I'm-
bit of a language thing on the contract that says 145 and 146. We couldn't figure out why, but
Yeah. And
it
the
did
math,
have the individual numbers spelled out as 70 and 75 for 145.
and the math works out for the 145. This was all part of what we've been working on the last few weeks, but, so I'm comfortable with the extra 5, and that was not included in the original contract, and I feel like I've seen them all now, so we're friends. So I did just put in a slide with a summary of all the projects that we have done in the Washburn system with the ARPA dollars. Ben might want to speak to that utility line locator that we purchased. I think that was probably done in the nick of time because there have been so many fiber projects.
Yeah, it's vital. So we were using a locator from the 90s. It still worked somewhat. We do have some areas in town that are hard to locate even with the new locator. This locator has different modes on it. I can detect power. The other one just had a few different ranges of hertz for locating. We hook up to usually a ground wire. There is a tracer wire on the sewer mains, but the sewer main locate wires, they hook up some places. We've got some small boxes where they connect, they're interconnected, but there is a couple breaks in the system, so we have to move around town to try and get to the right spot. But the new locator is more versatile because of the actual transmitter can also transmit into the ground as well and reach certain, it can actually insert, I'm not a technology guy, but it's much more versatile than what we had before. So.
And we are required, you're probably familiar with the one call system, so Ben
Yeah.
provides that service for us. that if there's a locate, he
And on a side note,
applied that.
Mid-America Energy is replacing, I mean,
I saw
I think there's probably
polls.
60 poles out there,
Yeah.
and I've had an equal amount of locates here in the last 3 weeks, so. Sorry, I didn't mean to interject you.
I
No,
just
you're
wanted to
fine.
ask on the pump cost, you mentioned the discount. What, like, how much money did you save us?
I think it was,
It was about $800, I think.
yeah, it was about 4,000. If you were to multiply it all out, it was like 444,373, so it wasn't.
That's true. That, yeah.
Yeah,
5,000.
it was, yeah, I mean, but the point was I wasn't maxing out the contract on purpose. You know, I was billing as to what our hours were, and as time went on, the panels got more expensive too, so.
And I was just curious because, you know, I hate to see locally owned small businesses shorten themselves.
I don't feel shorted.
Okay.
I don't feel shorted. I've got, some of the warranty work was above and beyond what we're doing here, but the supplier, we haven't settled up yet, but they've told me that they'll settle up. They'll give us credit for parts that we buy for the pumps, so don't worry about that part. That's all on them. Obviously, they sent, panels that were bad, but I don't feel shorted by by the price that we have here. I feel like the work was done well, and, the hours matched what I expected to get, so.
And hopefully, if you ever felt that there was a need, there was something wrong, you could.
Oh,
think
yeah,
about
absolutely.
approaching us on
No,
it, so.
yeah, no, I think it was just to highlight that the change order isn't for extra money, it was because there was extra
Yeah, yeah.
work done at an equal cost.
No, I know.
So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep.
You don't have a total up there, Michelle. I was kind of curious.
I think it's just over 800,000 probably that we've spent.
I knew it was a little over what that number for this, it was the first number about we did with ARPA, so I remember.
You started,
well.
yes, with 735,000.
yeah.
We did, there is still about 128,000 there, because we did the lagoon valve, air release valve replacement project was done with the ARPA expense side dollars, if you remember talking about that. So, a portion of that, 105,000, did go to ARPA expense dollars, so we have a little bit there. So, to talk about that a little bit further, we did invest some money to hire an engineering firm to kind of review the system and tell us what was needed in terms of repairs out there. And that led to, and actually, we already had a report from the DNR telling us we needed to fix that lagoon valve. And it was completely off kilter. And probably should talk about exercising those valves, because I know you do. So we hired AECOM, they reviewed the system, they did agree this was the most critical project to do. So that's what we did, the lagoon valves. The lagoon fence had some places along the road where cars had hit it, or there were just holes in it. So it felt like it was a good time to get that replaced. We did not replace the side along the field, just in terms of budget. There are some projects, and Ben can share a little bit more about that, because the DNR was concerned that we needed to get the sludge out of the lagoon. So we did do some testing last winter, and there's probably at least 5 years, maybe a little more than that, left before we have to pump the lagoon. That will be an expensive project, so I'm hoping we can preserve some of those funds toward that when that time comes.
Yeah, so as far as the dredging of the lagoon for the sludge, I would put a little bit brighter light on it. You do want to, plan for 5 years, but the 5 years was set out by the DNR as their standard. You have to sludge judge every 5 years. If you don't have a sludge judge on within 5 years, or if you are going to need to dredge, you have to have a sludge plan of where you're going to take the sludge or pump it to or haul it to. There are things on site you can do to put it in bags or whatever, but the testing that we did, I had, I'm going to forget the name of the place, but it's a state-supported place that helps smaller sewer systems, water systems and whatnot. They came out with a boat, and I went out there with them. We mapped every depth. It's showing about 20 years worth of storage, but yeah, we always want to plan ahead and have those funds available to be able to dredge when it needs it. So we were exempt from having a sludge plan or dealing with an engineering firm that would need to find a place for us to go. There are some local places, but being that we need to do it in the cheapest way possible, it would have to go through pricing. And then, so what do we go, what was the prior thing that you wanted me to talk about? Oh, the fence?
No, the exercising the new
Okay, yeah,
valves.
so the exercising of the valves, that project, the valves had, from the larger lagoon on the south side had, I think ice had pushed it in. I don't think we ever really determined, but they pushed the the pipes in, so the valves were not, the way the lid was designed, where I put a wrench on, the valve was, it didn't have knuckles in it, so it just ripped the rod off, and I couldn't get onto some of the valves to exercise them. We exercise them so we can use them, so then I wasn't able to use them. So they took the lid off, put a new lid on, new valves in. They braced it on the outside so it wouldn't continue to push in. And then I got the new rods up to the top of where the access lid is, and I can get my wrench on it now, and they work like new. So that was a much needed improvement. That was along with the influent manhole that was very rotten. They put a liner inside of it, some type of epoxy to save the concrete, but the old one was showing rebar inside the structure, so it was not going to be sound for very long. So definitely needed project and a good one for me. So
Hopefully it lasts a long time.
Yeah.
it should. It should. It looks good. Looks great. I think the contractor did a good job.
Yeah.
There's better access to everything for me and whoever in the future too. So, is there anything I missed there, Michelle?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's
Okay.
everything Washburn Sewer
Yeah,
right now.
I think the system is in much better shape than it was 3 years ago when we started this, and I know the DNR will appreciate the improvements to the system. I appreciate the improvements to the system, and the residents should appreciate the improvements to the system because it's less for them to financially pay for in the future. But we do need to keep a fund going for this dredging and things that can come up in the next 10, 15, 20 years. So.
That's right, and because I think, since that time, then we increased some of the rates, kind of phased those in because we knew there were gonna be things like that coming up.
Yeah, yeah, and
This project
nobody wants to raise rates, but things are not gonna get cheaper. And we do the best we can to keep costs down, and I think this is huge for them. But yeah, just budget for a dredging, and I'm sure there's engineering firms that can give you better ballparks than I would ever be able to do for that. So I do have, if you ever need the sludge judge results, I have those. There's between 6 to 10 inches of sludge at the bottom, and there's plenty of space left, so.
We're good.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
You're done then, Michelle.
I'm
Anything more to
done,
say?
yes.
Okay, because I didn't
Well,
want to.
as long as you're ready to approve, we're good.
Are there any other questions? Well. Nope. Or Ben? Okay. So the resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Hall.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Kurtenbach.
Yes.
Brandt.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item B, resolution that the statement of completion for the Washburn Sewer System Pump Panel Replacement Project completed by Urban Services LLC with a total project cost of $440,139.49 be approved and direct the chair to sign for same as recommended by Michelle Weidner, Finance Director.
So moved.
Second.
This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Brandt.
Yes.
Kurtenbach.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item 8, other business. Motion that the travel request submitted by Amanda Fesenmeyer, Human Resources Director, for Anna Knapp and Amanda Fesenmeyer to attend the Iowa Public Employment Labor Relations Association Fall Conference in Bondurant, Iowa, scheduled September 10 and 11, 2026, at an estimated cost of $694.46 be approved, and that the chair be directed to sign for same.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item B, resolution that the request for purchase of capital equipment submitted by Caitlin Emmerich, Public Health Director, be approved and direct the chair to sign for same to purchase one 2026 Chevrolet Trailblazer from McGrath Auto, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in the amount of $26,071 through the applicable state grant contract using insurance proceeds.
So moved. Second.
Good morning.
Morning, Board. I'm here with Todd Parsons, our fiscal coordinator. Todd really did all the legwork on doing the research and getting the bids for the replacement vehicle. So if you have any questions, really they're for Todd. Do you have any questions?
We've got it.
about this?
Todd, anything we should know?
I mean, this is just to get the car on the lot that they have on the lot versus where we've typically gone to where they build the car and everything and use, but this is we're going to Cedar Rapids because it's on the lot there and it's already built and we can have it in need to put into service right away when schools and our fleet is much needed.
Okay. For $26,000, does that have roll-up windows or? That's good.
Thank you. Thanks for being here to answer questions too as well. This is a yeah.
Sorry, did we get quotes or anything from local? on this?
For this, because we can't, because it has to be through the state contract.
Got it.
So,
Got it.
I asked for what cars were available from the state contractors, and they are issued in Des Moines, Ankeny, Cedar Rapids. Those places are the
Yep.
people that won the state contract bids.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Kurtenbach,
Yes.
Hall,
Yep.
Brandt,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item C, resolution that the request for purchase of capital equipment submitted by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer, be approved and direct the chair to sign for same to purchase one 2025 John Deere 344P loader in the amount of $132,594.40 with a $25,000 trade-in allowance from a 2002 John Deere loader from Murphy Tractor, Waterloo, Iowa.
So moved.
Second.
Good morning again, Board. So this is another capital item for FY27 that we would like to purchase. I've told you in my email how we do have 3 loaders that we use. Primarily, we use these items in the winter to push snow, to load sand and salt into our trucks. They are located in 2 of our out shops as well as the main maintenance facility at Longfellow. We are continuing to look at used equipment. In this case, this would be a nearly new loader, and we feel like we are saving quite a bit of money by purchasing a used loader. We did send out requests to our local John Deere and Cat dealerships and got some good quotes back. I would like to recommend that we be allowed to purchase the loader from Murphy Tractor. It's a 2025, so it is nearly new with only 131 hours on it. We would be receiving a trade-in from our current 2002 John Deere loader, so we would receive a $25,000, trade-in on that piece of equipment. I do have our shop foreman with me today, as well as someone from Murphy Tractor if you have any questions. All of these pieces of equipment have a 3-year warranty associated with them, so that is also excellent as well. Do you have any questions for us?
None.
Thanks very much, Kathy.
Okay, thank you.
This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Hall,
Yes.
Brandt,
Yes.
Kurtenbach,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes. Item D, discussion and possible board action on streaming options for Board of Supervisors meetings. Good morning.
Good morning, Board. Al Yu, IT Director. It's been a while since we talked about this, so wanted to provide an update for you guys. We did do a test with YouTube as a streaming alternative. It does work. City of Waterloo currently uses it. I wanted to give you all the details so that you guys can kind of make an informed decision on what next steps would be. I would like to go over some of the benefits of YouTube. If you're going to YouTube, it is a much easier way for citizens to access the meeting. Teams, while it works, it does require, if you're on a mobile device, it does require you to install the app. that might be some potentially confusing for folks that aren't IT savvy. So YouTube is very, very easily accessible. Now, on the flip side, when using YouTube, there's a lot of setup that is required. So I'm just giving you the full details. And I apologize if any of this is too technical, just tell me to pause and explain. So in order for us to do YouTube, in addition to our Teams, we would have to set up a separate computer, and it runs a piece of software called OBS. What that software does is it captures the Teams feed and basically puts it into YouTube. So right there, we are introducing another stream. Preferably, that computer will reside in a different room than back there. We could do it back there. We did have some concerns about audio echoing, but I think we can address that. However, it does require someone to monitor that stream. So, so with that software, it streams that to YouTube. There's going to be a slight delay when that happens, but that's, I mean, if you're only looking at YouTube, you won't notice a difference. In terms of the YouTube stream itself, the board would need to decide, do you want chat enabled? Do you want comments enabled? If you want chats enabled, someone will have to monitor the chat the entire time. YouTube is a one-way interaction, so there is no interaction for someone viewing through YouTube unless you allow chats. That's the only way you can type a question. So while it does allow in a convenient way to interact or to see a board meeting, it doesn't allow a lot of interaction online. And so my recommendation would be, if you do have someone on YouTube, if we do stream on YouTube, you do dedicate someone to kind of monitor that stream. It is possible to kind of start the stream and then kind of walk away. However, I will caution, like if you have things like closed sessions, that person would have to make sure you stop the stream, otherwise we're accidentally streaming a closed session, which would not be good from a privacy standpoint. So just some logistics involved when it comes to the separate stream. I would also say, if I would not keep the same stream on the same internet connection that is in the back room, because it is two different levels of bandwidth. So I would rewire. If it's decided that we want to stream from the back room, I'd have to pull new wiring to make sure it's a dedicated bandwidth outside of the switch in there. All right, so covered a lot there. Any questions on some of that?
So the YouTube is, you're saying, easily accessible of any, I suppose, Zoom or whatever?
Correct. I would say it's easy to pick up. Everyone has YouTube installed on their devices. You can just literally click a link. It's going to open on your device. You'll see it right away. That's the main benefit. It's very
And that
accessible.
was it really, if you were seeing it like viewing only.
Correct.
Here you go, here's the meeting, listen in. But you're
Yep.
not going to speak, and you're not going to be interrupting, and you're not going to be asking questions. And I know the city of Waterloo monitors that, and that's kind of cut off. I think at one time, maybe they tried doing that, having some, and they shut that down immediately. So it's available YouTube to see.
To observe.
But not to interact unless you have actually called in and been approved to speak at a meeting. or
Correct.
Interact.
We spoke with City of Waterloo, just kind of asking, like, what do you do when, like, your council members or staff want to remote in? Let's just say they're somewhere else, and they will allow like a Zoom interaction, not for the general public, just for staff or
just for
council
them,
members.
yeah.
But I think it's sort of an expectation over there. If you want to speak, you have to come in person and then stand at the podium to interact.
Do we know how many viewers they have over there then? I'm just curious if people
That I don't
just
know.
join in and view, how many take advantage of it.
Yep, I don't know. I'd have to look at some of their old recordings and maybe we can kind of see what the view count is. But I would anticipate, if this is something we go towards, it would increase the viewership because of the ease of access. But there, like I said, there's a trade-off there, because then there's no interaction unless we allow chats.
Unless we what?
Allow the chat.
Yeah.
And then if we do that, then someone has to monitor that, because if someone asks a question, then that person has to relay the question to the board, because you
They
won't
don't
be able
allow that either.
Yep.
Al, what is our costs up front for doing this, and then what would our ongoing costs be?
I mean, cost would be, just a dedicated computer for this, so we just have to purchase a computer, and then whatever you calculate for staffing, if you were to dedicate someone to do this, then it's whatever their time is. So that,
We could use the same cameras we have then.
correct. All it does is just takes the existing Teams feed and it just duplicates it in another stream. That's all it's doing. But you still have to kind of monitor it.
So if someone doesn't have Teams,
What?
Teams.
Teams, oh, okay.
but they do have the link to our Teams, right? They're still able to view it on the browser, correct?
Not from a mobile device anymore. It used to be
Okay.
a choice, at least on a phone. It forces you to install the Teams app now. Before you could use the browser on your phone, and I don't think it allows that.
Got it.
Not sure about tablets. For sure on a computer, you can use the web version, no problem.
We used to use Zoom, and several people preferred Zoom, but we switched to Teams for some other options, I think, or capabilities, right? I think
One was just saving costs.
there was some cost, yeah.
Yeah, because we were just paying for a service we already get with our Microsoft 365
And what was the
licensing.
cost of Zoom?
Wasn't terrible. It was something to the effect of like $1,300 a year. Yeah. They have their pros and cons, but they all essentially work the same.
So what are your thoughts? I know you wanted to discuss it, or have some options, or talk about it a little more. And I know we talked about updating, like what was some things going on, what were people doing, and pros and cons. Obviously, we see our audience now is mostly internal, which it typically is and has been for years. Except when we have speakers or somebody that's joining, and those people are always allowed to speak and interact with us, but
Yeah, it seems like a small price to pay to help push transparency, just to give people the option. I mean, I've said it since day one. We have an inconvenient meeting time for people if they want to be involved and participate in local government. Some people have the option while they're at work to stream it, and this would at least help to appease them. So I think for the small price of, I'm sure there's one computer laying around this building, maybe two, but I don't think it would be that difficult. I think it makes more sense to make it happen than not to.
how many viewers do we have now that get on daily and look at the format? I think we post daily, correct? After the meeting, pretty much?
It's usually updated the same week. This, Gabby DeWitt, marketing coordinator. I did want to say, as far as the ongoing cost, keeping the week K accessibility deadline in mind, which is April of 2027, if we have 2 streams of meetings, we will have 2 live streams of captions that we could be penalized for if they don't meet the 90% threshold of accurate captions. So that might be something where we want to purchase a subscription for a captioning service, because both Teams and YouTube do not meet that threshold on a consistent basis. So it would put us at jeopardy for being penalized for that. It's already going to be something that IT and our accessibility committee will have to work on for Teams, but just having the second stream will be a second stream of live captions that we'll have to consider.
So Gabby, that sounds like something we're gonna need to do anyways, like either way.
We will,
Eventually?
yeah, we will have to,
Okay.
yes, definitely, we will have to figure it out either way. I had originally thought that because Teams offers live captions, we were good as far as that accessibility component. But we recently got guidance from Accessiblue, which is our vendor, that they don't meet that threshold of that 90% accuracy. So that's one of the things in this next year we'll be working on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
When I started 10 years ago on the board, the meetings weren't on YouTube at all. And I took the lead working with Kim to get those published, starting in that first year. We also weren't on social media, and I started the first social media account for Blackhawk County, and then I turned it over to the staff because I thought that we needed to be accessible in those places. And I think this step, it sounds like it's a pretty minor investment. We were just duplicating the stream. So it seems like something that one person could still handle from that back room. So I would suggest that we move forward with it, but not enable comments on it. Just leave it that if your expectation is that you want to interact with or ask questions of the board, then you need to go on through Teams, but you don't need to do the extra step of registering with us, that everybody from the public is welcome to speak at every meeting, but that the online option for that will remain with Teams.
I will say most of the municipalities that I've checked with that offer YouTube do not allow comments on their YouTube stream, similar to what Chris is suggesting.
And is that right out of the, because I feel like I've heard two things now, that there would need to be a separate laptop in a separate location, or could it be in the same, in this back room?
Could go in that same location. It's a little cramped back there, but you could in theory put another computer in there. I would have to run a separate, I don't want it going out of the same switch because I don't want the point of failure being the same. So we'd have to run a new network cable over there.
Is there a way to know by asking Waterloo how folks are accessing the live video now, if it's through mobile or desktop? And the reason I ask is, if ultimately what we're looking for is for folks to know that they can click a button, which is how most people are going to access it. No one's going to go to youtube.com/Blackhawk County Supervisors /live-watch. Like, no one's typing that in. They're just going to click on our social, probably once the meeting starts, there will be a post or something along those lines, right? It seems like a lot of redundancy for what we're already able to achieve just with a consistent post that the meeting is starting and with a link to our current teams. And so your point of mobile having to have the app in order to access, I'd be interested to know how frequent, if that sort of data can get that granular of who's accessing by what means. Because I can also see now you've got two links. If you want to comment, you've got to click through this thing. If you just want to watch, you can click through the other. Like, there's also a clunkiness there. Mm-hmm. I think from the user side, it's actually easier to just have a singular access point. But if a ton of the access is through mobile, then I guess that would probably shape my decision a little bit different. But
another option, but also probably a higher cost, and I don't know the cost off the top of my head, is we're about to go into a website refresh. And if we upgraded our agenda workflow that we have right now, they do, I think Lynn County does this, where they stream their meetings right through their website. And so then people would just have to go to the website and they would see it.
I like that idea a lot better.
But again, limited.
But it could be, I can find out the cost on that. I don't have that.
I still like to know that.
One other
reviewers.
Okay.
I mean, like when you've got somebody that's been on it a while and uses it into their advantage, or they're keeping it because they think it's beneficial, how they're using it. And if it's just so people can listen in, that's one thing. But if it's actually interaction at all, or if it's they have the availability but nobody uses it, those kinds of things from people that we haven't heard from.
For most of the municipalities that I've talked to, they do it for awareness and transparency, like Justin mentioned, and it is mostly just that awareness. It's not the engagement. If they want to participate, then like Chris mentioned, they would join Teams or come to the meeting or Zoom. A lot of them use Zoom as well.
So they only use YouTube for accessibility.
Yeah.
Nothing else communicate.
Yes.
And they use two modems.
A wider
two formats.
audience. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, a lot of the cities are similar to Waterloo, where they have like a cable station, and so they kind of run it that way.
And you're saying still with the one room, because you've been saying that we require another room, or you can do it here. I don't want to see it can be, but sorry, it didn't work, so now we need another room and another person. That's the kind of stuff I'm a little leery of. Not just that it's easy to do and set up, that it's all this background kind of stuff that you don't have. That, yeah, it's easy to set up, but now you've got how much money invested in it, how much people's time, and what we're doing because it's all additional cost for taxpayers as well. And are we doing it to meet their needs or not? And if it is something that they want, we hear from no one that actually asks this, except maybe for one meeting or two meetings when it's something controversial, I suppose.
I could tell you, when I was running in 24, I couldn't figure out how to watch a meeting. And I had downtime where I could sit at home and it was a very complicated process. So I had to wait for hours or a day for it to get posted on YouTube. I'm kind of busy and I didn't have the time to dedicate, and it was more convenient. To me, this isn't a terribly difficult decision. I mean, it seems like if the goal is just to give people a simple, user-friendly button to push to watch the meetings, everything on the front end is going to require a little bit of work and cost. But I mean, I'll take the brunt if anybody from the public wants to complain that the county's going to spend X number of dollars. Come to me. I think it's pretty defendable.
There are a couple logistics I want to talk about that I'm unsure of. So another thing, when you stream to YouTube, it's saving on our official YouTube channel. That video is saving in a different location. Our YouTube videos are hosted in YouTube, but streams are in a different location. We typically will edit the video, especially if there are closed sessions and things like that. So when you pause a video, that creates a second video. And I don't know how to handle that yet. So I just want to draw your attention to that. If we had meetings that have closed sessions, I don't know how that chunks out when it saves. So preferably, I would not want a streamed video to be, because it's not the final product when we've had the chance to edit the beginning and end, so it's nice and clean. So that's just one logistic I'm unsure of how to handle just yet. But just wanted you guys to keep that in mind.
I mean, I think we can do both things though, right? Like, we can increase transparency. We can do that part without going to another platform to achieve it, right? We can create a vanity URL that'll cost us what, $10 a year, if that. We might even be able to do it through our current provider. We can post every Tuesday morning at 8:30 on social that the supervisors meeting start. We don't do that currently. With that link, that vanity URL, let's say it's live.blackhawkcounty.gov, right? Whatever that looks like. So that folks have an easy point to go through, watch. Yes, it would potentially require they have Teams if they're viewing from a mobile. But we might have a real issue if, to your point, if YouTube isn't turned off for a closed session, now all of a sudden it's out. That there's a little bit of there. Yeah. And for what, right? Like we can still do the transparency part without putting in this extra tool and making the process more cumbersome. If we're going to have to double up what we're doing with closed captioning and increasing our doubling our exposure on the closed captioning piece, we're increasing our exposure on the closed meetings piece. While we could do the same thing with a vanity URL utilizing Teams, to me it seems like it's.
In a perfect world, I think not, and YouTube is just easy to use. I think we can achieve the same thing, like Gabby kind of alluded to, if we can somehow stream our Teams stream onto a web page and it just shows it. People just go to the site, they don't have to install anything, they just open it up and it's streaming live. That would be ideal. And then YouTube has one platform, but maybe perhaps an embedding of some sort in a website is another option. Obviously, it's the board's decision, but if it were my preference, one or the other. We either go all on our YouTube or we go all on our own Teams. Just logistically, there's points of failure when we run both, and that's the thing I'm afraid of. Not saying that I want to make sure that both have priority if we do go in on this, make sure that the Teams and YouTube is working. But if we have technical issues, the Teams link stream is going to prevail, and I will not focus on the YouTube at all on that day if we have technical issues, because there's so many points of failure with the other part, because it's just a duplicate.
I think if the board prioritized maximizing transparency for the meetings with our current system. Let's try it out, right? Let's do the vanity URL. Let's put a priority on posting ahead of the meetings that the meeting is going to happen. That limits our exposures and some of our issues. And if that still isn't, if we're still not hitting the mark, if we're hearing from folks that it's just too clunky accessing through their mobile device if they don't have, right? If we start to hear that, but I think we can, not baby step, like it's a level of progress, right? We can continue to move towards increased transparency here without adding some exposures and some expense and that sort of.
Well, I think that's what we've done. You mentioned like when you were running the one in 24, when you were trying to get on and to do that. I think we've made some of those steps. I was going to say, so to continue to make some is great, but I was going to say, you put something on our website so people could just hit the link and go to it or whatever.
Yeah.
So we were trying some of those, but I think that's all part of this, the direction
continue,
we'd like
yeah.
to go and see it. I just,
Kind of like you have an official as our teams, because you gotta cut that out for the closed sessions but that's what's recorded and put on the website. And then we're doing this other transparency piece where if we go into closed session, it's cut off at that point, is what I'm understanding. So I like the idea of just putting it on the website, streaming on the website, so it saves some of the other problems. I don't know how long it's gonna take in this, but I don't know if this is something we gotta have done in the next month either.
Maybe it'll be 2 years from now. too.
Yeah,
The website is going to be a ways.
it's a new year coming.
The
remember?
refresh.
The refresh. would be
Well, I think
something.
6 to 9 months is what they're suggesting, yeah. But I hadn't thought of the suggestion that Al made. We can certainly try that, like embedding the team's feed into a web page.
Okay.
And then I can check on the pricing for like an upgraded agenda center. It is definitely more than the costs that Al has suggested now.
And the accessibility part of it, would that be kind of, could that be combined then, or is that going to be a separate issue again?
Well, it'll be an issue either way. Like it'll be something that we will have to address as we get closer to that deadline of how we want to work on our captioning and making sure that it hits that 90% threshold.
So if it doesn't, who comes and fines us money?
People would make a complaint that it impacted their ability to get the information that they need, and then we would work with Mr. Trinan on addressing that complaint. But yeah, I mean, it's a thing that everyone, we're a government of greater than 50,000, and so our deadline is April of 2027, and then governments of less than 50,000 population, their deadline is April 2028. And this was the thing that was pushed back. The deadline was this past April. So there are a lot of, and this is just one of the areas for digital communication, but it is probably the most difficult as far as trying to figure out how we do it logistically.
How long do you think it would take for you to figure it out logistically to come back to us with what's needed? Because I think sometimes then time gets away from us when we say, okay, let's talk about this again.
Sure.
So,
I had
just
seeing the agenda item, I had a message out to Jeff from Accessiblue to talk through some options. So in the next week or two, I can bring back like actual numbers, and I also have a message out to Civic Plus as far as Agenda Center, like what that would cost. But either way, I think Chris's point, I want to say that like the captioning issue, we're going to have that captioning issue as long as we have live meetings. And it's not just this meeting. It'll be the VA meeting. It'll be the conservation meeting. It'll be any meeting that we stream live. Even if we don't record it, we will have this captioning issue. And so that's just a known thing that we'll have to deal with.
Do those other meetings use the same Teams link?
They all use a Teams link. I don't know if it's the same. It's not the same one we have for this meeting, right?
Yeah, all of our board meetings use the exact same link for.
Yeah, but
For Board of
do
Supervisors,
VA
but like
do?
conservation.
No. I think. No.
Would that be?
There's a couple
Is
that
that
we-
possible?
Yes, it's.
Just thinking through this idea of a vanity link, that it's not just supervisors, but it's Right, in the interest of transparency.
It's tied to a username, so
Okay.
we would have
Got
to, like, for VA, for example, I would provide Yolanda with the credentials, and you'd have to sign in specifically with that account.
Got it.
But it is possible.
Possible, okay.
I think at least one of the meetings maybe uses, is conservation. I think conservation maybe uses a
They use it-
different link per meeting.
I think so. You can, yeah,
Health, Board of Health still uses Zoom.
correct.
My question is, if we use the same link, how do we start?
We'd have to give you the credentials to sign in and do it, yep. So it would be multiple staff sharing that credential to start the meetings for the same Teams link. Yep. I guess the question for the board is, and regardless of YouTube, would having our Teams link, Team Stream, and then also having a way to embed into a web page where no one has to install anything, sign up for anything, they just go to our website, the citizens can just view the meeting and it's optimized for whatever device they have, tablet, phone. Would that be the end goal?
One thing, it's easy to forget that meetings are at 9 on Tuesdays, you know, unless you kind of have to be here or your job revolves around it. So if I'm Joe Citizen and I'm not planning on the 9 o'clock meeting, to go to the page, to our county page, to hit the link and all that, that's one thing. The other thing with YouTube is if you just happen to be on it and you go into like live mode, it just kind of pops up and takes precedence over top and it shows that it's going on. Which, oh shoot, that meeting's going on. So it kind of serves as a reminder too. So yeah, simply my end goal, to answer your question, Linda, was how do we just make it so it's real easy for people to be able to see stuff and pay attention if they want to? Because I'd estimate the vast majority of people, this is not on their priority list of anything in any given day. Waterloo has a little bit more contentious issues than we do, just by a hair. And if they're getting, you know, I'm curious, do they have complaints about captioning or not?
Well, it
If
doesn't
anybody's
matter.
going
Yeah.
to, they're gonna probably get it first.
Yeah.
And so any tech advancement that we do is going to have some challenges, I'm sure, but I don't think it's anything that we can't work around. Because I think we're doing it in the interest of giving you, as the viewer, another option. And again, send all complaints to me.
Accessibility is on what City of Waterloo's radar also, because I've been working with
Yeah.
Agnes over there at the cable office to work on that. My other thought just left my head. Sorry.
That's why I'm writing notes, Gabby, because I
Yeah,
don't
right,
remember
yep, yep.
So one benefit of YouTube Live is it will, even if you, let's just say it started at 9, you hopped on 15 minutes later, it will cache the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're watching from the very beginning. Or you can go back, I think. Currently, we don't have the benefit of that for the folks that are on time watching it right at the start of the meeting, because once the meeting is over, then it takes a while for the recorder process, then we have to edit it, and then we upload it to YouTube, and then we post the link. So depending on how long that meeting is, sometimes it's hours, and depending if we're short-staffed, sometimes it doesn't happen until the next day. So I get where you're coming from in terms of the meeting is not available right away. If there's a way, and I'm not an AV expert, if there's a way to duplicate that caching capability of YouTube Live somehow, whether it be YouTube or another piece of hardware or something like that, would that be an acceptable option if we can somehow get it easily accessible and be able to cache the live footage so that people hop on late, they can still see it?
Sure.
You're the one that'll have to tell us that, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what the capabilities are. I'll have to do more research myself because I'm not an AV guy, but I'm sure probably some piece of equipment exists that does this very task. And so we can certainly just at least look into it and I can present that information to you guys.
Yeah, I've been inspired to go talk to Agnes as well today. And figure out
And
what they're
Agnes.
doing, how they're doing it.
Yeah.
She watches these meetings. I will say, I remembered what I was going to say is that people who, to your point, you know, making it easily accessible, we could do a better job of telling people, sign up for notifications of meetings. Then every time an agenda goes out, you're notified that a meeting is happening. I am a subscriber on YouTube. I subscribe to this meeting, to the City of Waterloo, to the City of Cedar Falls, and I get notifications from YouTube when those recordings pop in, because I don't have time to watch them when the meeting is happening, but I get those YouTube notifications. So I think an engaged citizen does have opportunities to get those reminders to see the meetings, and maybe it's not, in that live, but if they sign up for agendas, notification, then that would be an extra reminder, as well as like the social media posts that Tavis mentioned that we could do to kind of continue to remind people.
Yeah, because those agenda reminders are easy. I mean.
Oh, yeah, it's
there's
just like
something to it,
notify
so
me,
you
you
could do it
just
with
sign
a
up,
link
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I could be convinced.
What do you propose? To come back to us when and what do you think, what timeline to see if all this works?
Yeah, let's, well, it
Weeks.
depends on when Civic gets back to us.
Well, I just
I mean,
need
I
an
can
estimate.
push
I
on
mean,
that, like
just
next
so-
week is fine.
No, I didn't mean
if
that you
that's
had to
fine
do it
for
right
you.
away, just like
2
another
weeks.
week,
If we,
2 weeks.
if
or
they can get
something,
back
or
to us, we can present next week if they can get back to us. And then I can also do some research on regards to potential
Yeah, it's on
media
everything.
streaming devices.
Can I also ask, since you two are like the actual experts on this, if you will make a recommendation? I appreciate you giving it to us and placing it, but I think the folks who are actually putting this thing together, if y'all can just make a recommendation for us, I think it will help this process a lot. I know, I can see the look on your face, and you can see the look on mine. So
We can do
I
that
think
next week.
I think it's just going to be helpful. I think fully understanding that what we're trying to get to is maximizing transparency while also covering exposures, and you all make a recommendation based off of that.
Well,
That
staff
feels-
time and
Yeah.
space and usage, just
Yeah.
everything too
Yeah.
in general. So, yeah, it's all together, so, yeah. Like you would any other recommendation.
Yep.
Not what the
One-
board wants, but what you'd recommend.
Yeah.
I have one final thing. So on the YouTube live stream, if we're going to closed session, why can't that just be next and stop right then and there?
I think there's two options there. You could, if you stop the stream, then it creates another video. So when I start it back up, it creates another video that from a viewer standpoint, you would just see a big gap. And if they didn't catch that you're going in a live stream, they think maybe the stream cut off inadvertently. From a logistical standpoint, from us, for editing, we now have to either block the saving of that video to YouTube, because I don't want two different videos from the final product that we normally edit and upload versus what's live streamed. And so there's some logistics regarding that. That's the part I'm unsure of.
That's why I was asking the question. You've got the official that's on the Zoom or on the team side. But at that some point, if we're just doing streaming on YouTube, just shut it off, want to go into closed session. Because the only thing they're missing is coming back to adjourn.
Correct.
So I don't know, is that really an official, you gotta have a total official on YouTube as you do on our team side?
So what can be done, and I think it's possible, because I said there's a software called OBS that streams the team stream to YouTube. I think you can pause the stream in OBS, so basically YouTube would just be a blank screen. But you have to be very careful and make sure that is done, otherwise we could have potential exposures there. And also make sure audio isn't also recording while there's no screen on the screen. So from the viewer standpoint, they would just see a blank screen the entire time. The stream's still going, it's just blank. And they may not know what's going on at that point and hop off. That part I don't know. So I would need to actually ask the other streaming experts, maybe Agnes, maybe Corey, just to kind of give me their input on what that could look like if we were to manage closed sessions through OBS versus YouTube. I couldn't give you a good answer yet until I find out more.
And because the meeting has to go back into open session
Yeah.
to officially close it anyway. And if there
To
was
adjourn.
anything else at the end of it, should be kind of out. They're just, if it sounds to me like you just drop them off and that's the end, that doesn't seem like the way you'd close a meeting anyway. You need to be official to be doing it, but that's just me. You find out for us.
Perhaps Agnes would come to present.
Why don't you go visit with
I'm
Agnes?
going to.
I was gonna say, maybe you all three go together, I don't know, but I was gonna say, this sounds like there's a lot of questions that.
Join hands. We'll go
No.
across the street.
Just, that's more than some of us want to know.
And so, and I do want to point out that the YouTube stream is not the final product that you've seen where you have 4 screens. It is only the Teams stream. So so it's no different than what you were online watching right now, like the Brady Bunch view. That is exactly what the stream will be on YouTube. And then it focuses on the presenter or whatever, and it kind of flips through. So it's not the final product. That's why we prefer the edited final product, so you can have all the views.
And shout out to Corey for doing
Yeah.
the editing.
Corey does that. Well, all the techs do that every.
Oh,
Great job, Corey.
good job,
Yeah,
Corey.
but Corey's done the most of it. Yeah.
All right.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
None. So plan a week or two. We're coming back with some.
Let
Okay.
us know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you guys.
Super,
Thanks for getting that on
thank
out.
you. Yeah, thanks very much. Item E, discussion and possible board action on the animal control and welfare ordinance, which previously was discussed as the dangerous dog ordinance. So Mike, I think we're all looking for just kind of an update. I know you've been very busy with a lot of projects and a lot of things, but this was one that had kind of been out there a while, and we said we'd get back. And I know Dan's here even today to hear more about where we're at and what's needed. Thank you very much.
You bet. This has turned out to be a little more complicated than I realized it would be. But anyway, what I'm going to provide today is an overview first of the process I've employed here thus far on this, and then what is the current draft of the ordinance that I've given to all of you to kind of read through, present any questions to me. Maybe this can be a springboard for a work session on it. So first of all, what was initially done is this issue came up while I believe I was out on vacation at the time, and Heather Prendergast, my colleague, she had found an ordinance from Story County that looked to be pretty complete. There are also city ordinances and other ordinances around, but this Story County ordinance looked like a good product to start from. So I contacted a colleague down in Story County about it, found out they're in the process of they're going to be amending theirs. It hasn't happened yet, but they're going to be amending theirs to draw it more in line with state law. So that was a bit of a red flag there, that we wanted to be in line with state law. And there are several chapters of state law, and you'll see them referenced in this draft ordinance that come into play here. But essentially they are 351, which deals with dogs and other animals and required vaccinations and tags. Rabies is a big focus in chapter 351. 717 deals with injury and neglect of livestock, so that's farm animals. That is not what this ordinance focuses on, but it does talk about it a bit. 717B is the mistreatment of other animals that are not farm animals. And 717F deals with dangerous wild animals and kind of deals with exotic animals that some people sometimes have. And we do address that in this proposed ordinance. I'm going to kind of go quickly through the ordinance just to give you the high points. I'd ask you to kind of hold your questions at this point for a little bit. Section 1, and these hashtags, by the way, I just got to figure out, we're just got to decide where that fits in as far as the title number, and I didn't propose that yet. But Section 1 just is a purpose statement. Section 2 lists the definitions for the various terms that are at issue here. Section 3, and this is very key here, deals with prohibited acts. Both the definitions and the prohibited acts are key for the incident that led to the creation of this draft ordinance. Section 4 deals with penalties. One thing I need to do right now, or I need to do fairly soon, is this invokes this creates county infraction is what it is. It penalizes county infractions, and that's governed by 331.307. I want to do some additional research on that to make sure that it doesn't behoove us to actually state a penalty, as we've done in some other ordinances where we state a fine. But right now, it is just stating that we can penalize them as provided by 331.307, which in and of itself is probably sufficient. Section 5 deals with when we have to impound an animal. You know, where do we put the animal? We've got a shelter. We're typically on contract with Cedar Bend. We've mentioned them in here, but I've also made it so that there's the possibility for other facilities because number one, we all know we don't automatically change our ordinances when we change who we contract with, and hopefully they'll be a partner with us for a good long time, but we don't know where that could go. Number two, there's always the possibility that we need to, they run out of space, or we need to contract with somebody else, or we need to just use somebody else on the fly. And so that is provided for in the first subsection of Section 5. Section 6 deals with rabies control, and it basically invokes Chapter 351. This is something that our health department currently concerns itself with. Section 7, this is also important because this kind of goes to some of those prohibited acts, biting and attacking other humans or animals. And one of the things that's real important about this is the situation that was brought to our attention involved an animal that attacked another animal. That came over, intruded on someone's property, attacked another animal. And that's where the state law on this, because there is state law on this, but the state law is not real clear on that. It doesn't address that specifically. This proposed ordinance does. It makes that an infraction. And so in this section as well, it says right on subsection 1, an animal involved in a bite or attack upon a person, domestic animal, or livestock may be investigated by the sheriff's office. Now, if you flip back to prohibited acts, they do not permit an animal to run at large. They make it a violation, or they make it a violation to fail to maintain reasonable control over an animal. And there are other situations. Now, if you look forward to Section 8, that addresses dangerous animals in particular. Note that there's some difference made between dangerous animals and vicious dogs, which are numbered 9. Vicious dogs is like a higher level that are dogs that are known to be vicious, sometimes dogs that are trained to be vicious. This is not, in the past anyway, this has not been a terribly uncommon circumstance. And so the ordinance intentionally creates separate subsections for that. But these do indicate, if you go back to Section 2, and you look at, for example, the definition of dangerous animal, which is number 8 under it, it says that it presents a substantial risk of causing bodily injury to a person or another domestic animal through an unprovoked attack, bite, or other aggressive act. If you look at vicious dog, it is among the things that define a vicious dog are a dog that has, without provocation, attacked a person or domestic animal and caused serious injury or death, or a dog that has demonstrated through one or more serious incidents a history, tendency, or disposition to attack or cause serious injury that presents an ongoing and substantial threat to the safety of persons or domestic animals. And there are other listed characteristics of vicious dogs under subsection 21 in Section 2. I realize this gets, you get a lot of numbers. It gets, it's 15 pages long, plus then I have a few pages of other considerations we're going to want to flesh out in the process. And so the bottom line is that I understood part of the focus needed to be on animals that attack animals. And that was where the state statutes were lacking. This ordinance definitely addresses that. So it talks about, so section 8 again was control of a dangerous animal. It even goes into such areas as, assessments and recommendations that are made by the impounding, whoever's that has to house the dog during the investigation. Talks about possible use of chemical restraint. The sheriff is the one ultimately with the duty or with the authority under this to make this call. The sheriff's department is what is going to operate as the animal control officer, so to speak. It doesn't need to be the sheriff himself, but it needs to be somebody through the department. And I've purposely left that open to sheriff's deputies or other personnel if the sheriff decides to designate someone else to do that. Down in Story County, they actually have an animal control officer as a paid position. This proposed ordinance intentionally avoided that. I don't think I haven't heard from anyone that we want to add a paid position for this.
No.
And I don't think we've typically had the kind of problems that would warrant that. Section 9 deals with the vicious dogs, as I mentioned earlier, and that's defined in section 2. Section 10 deals with dangerous and exotic animals. Now, all of these, but especially this section 10, when there's a state statute that comes into play, in this case 717F, it purposely invokes that. That is so that this ordinance does not go impermissibly farther than the state statute allows it to go. And that was something where I took care to make sure that we stayed within the confines of the state statutes, but also where we needed to go farther and where we were allowed to, such as attacking other animals, we did. Section 11 is standards for private kennels. I don't know that we have rules about those outside of, I know we have zoning rules concerning whether whether something counts as a kennel for zoning purposes or for commercial zoning purposes, but I'm not aware that we have anything that regulates kennels. Of course, we're not going far. This is a consideration that was brought up at the end, possibly looking at licensing. I think the state already has that for commercial kennels. The county wants to get into that business, but that's something that can be considered. Section 12 deals a lot with the living environment for animals. That they're kept in a situation that is safe, that is not harming them, that's not causing suffering for the animals, because that also plays into prohibited acts under here. Section 13 is an animal hoarding section that was taken, I believe, largely from the Story County ordinance. Was my recollection as I took that out of that. But it is something that is an issue here. It's often addressed by a health department when it creates other health problems, but it is addressed in this ordinance as well. Now, number 14 is important. This is typically when you set up a scheme where there is a county infraction, you allow for an appeal process of that infraction. I have selected a 10-day window to appeal to the sheriff to hear that appeal if somebody disagrees with the prior determination of the sheriff's office. They can go to the sheriff for that appeal. The question is, where do we go after that? Could go to this board. We could go to the district court. I selected in the draft to go to the Board of Health. I thought that could be, and now I'm not sure how they feel about that yet. I talked briefly. So I don't want to pretend that I've gotten any kind of blessing in doing that. But it did seem like, given the way there are certain aspects of this that brush with public health, that it would be an appropriate route to go for a subsequent appeal. After that, I thought 2 levels of appeal at the county level is enough. After that, it would go to court if they wanted to file something.
Yeah, so,
You're still
Caitlin, Emmerich Public Health. So Mike and I did talk about the appeal to Board of Health a little bit. I think because of the strong role we have in Iowa Code 351 with rabies enforcement, I see the connection there, because we're already doing enforcement with rabies quarantine and following up with animal bite individuals in the county and things like that. The only thing I would just want to bring to the board's attention is that the Board of Health only meets once per month. So while that appeal would come within the 10 days, it wouldn't necessarily be heard until the next regularly scheduled board meeting. So that would add a delay into the process kind of inherently just because of the meeting frequency of the board.
And that's certainly a practical consideration. You can always look at trying to do special meetings or things like that. I certainly am not asking for that
Yeah.
for this.
Sure.
I don't know. I'd like to think this isn't an issue that's going to arise very much at all, since this is the first time I remember that a concern for an animal control ordinance has come in certainly the 6 or so years I've been the board's attorney. I don't remember in the 2 years prior to that when I was working as health and conservation and VA attorney. And so it seems like this would be something we could deal with at the time, but we could also rewrite this to indicate that they will take that up at their next regular meeting, provided there is, the appeal is made with adequate notice time to get on their agenda. And so I think that might cover us in that regard, as long as there's not any other concerns about involving the Board of Health. I do agree, it's logical that they would be the board to hear this.
I'm not necessarily asking for it to be the Board of Health, but I understand
I understand
the recommendation.
Yeah, so that's the appeal subsection, and that's actually the last subsection of this. I may have to write a little bit more. It occurred to me after putting out this draft that subsection 14 of the appeal section, which is when you go to district court, I might need to be a little more specific about how to do that, but I need to research how appeals generally are made. I know typically when you appeal a different board's determination, for example, Civil Service Commission, you have to file some kind of a petition in the district court, and I think it would follow that type of format here. But that can be worked out. Yes, that's still part of the process. Now, at the very end, beginning on page 18, so I apologize, I said it was 15 pages long, and it's already reached page 17. We have certain policy decisions that can be taken up by the board if you desire. For example, I'll just go through and quickly touch on them. Number 1, impoundment, boarding, veterinary, redemption, adoption, related fees. I have to see if there's any limitations on those. I recommend the board does adopt a schedule of fees, not necessarily as part of the ordinance, but something you adopt maybe at the beginning of the year, or you adopt as part of your contracting with, say, Cedar Bend, because we want these fees to reflect what we're actually paying for this to the extent possible. And to some extent, we may be permitted to just let the actual fees dictate what those fees are. Like, we don't specify them, but rather we wait and see what the bill is. And I'm still working on looking into how that can.
I think as far as Cedar Bend goes, those are already all established, and
I think they're part of the
already
contract.
doing that.
Yeah, but I could see some of it, depending on the situation, there could be some unique stuff, but we've been doing this with animals that get picked up, I know that. Holding period for unclaimed animals. I just don't want to, I think right now what they recommend, or what I recommended concerning and what's stated on here concerning the utilizing like 351.37 and utilizing the state period, I think that makes sense here and not establishing a separate one.
We already have a holding,
Period with our contract.
yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Mike, on penalty then,
Yep.
I'm missing that unless we haven't got to it. So,
We went over it
Okay.
briefly, and what I said is it invokes, it's treated as a county infraction under 331.307. It
Okay.
does not specify the penalty. That's something I'm still researching
Okay.
as to whether we should, but right now what it does invokes 331.307, which places limits on the penalties you can assess for county infractions. Now, after this, there's a talk about what you can do for certain circumstances, such as dangerous animal, that's number 3, vicious dog, that's number 4. There's also, I don't think that we deal with destruction or killing of animals that are deemed dangerous or should be. I think we defer to Iowa law right now, and maybe even like I put in here, maybe even apply for a court determination on that, because that's a kind of an extreme circumstance for a lot of people. As long as the dog or other animals being held in a situation where it's not presenting a threat to anyone while that determination is made, I think caution is urged there, because it can create damages if that determination's made incorrectly, and the court gives us cover on that. I don't believe we should create any licensing for exotic animals or kennels. There are already requirements for those under state law. I think that we should not go farther than that. Now, with respect to number 9, this was placed in here because one of the suggestions that AI actually gave me on this was, do you want to create different animal welfare standards for livestock other than those that are required by statute? I don't think that would play well in the courts. I think we would be preempted if we went farther than that. And so while you're allowed to do that in certain circumstances, I don't think this is one of those. And the practical reason for that is because farming operations entail certain, it's kind of a business thing, and there are certain standards that they expect to have kind of standardized around the state concerning that. Sorry for being redundant there, but in any event, I would stick with Chapter 717 of the Code of Iowa for that. The appeal deadlines, I've already explained those, and I think that the 10 working day system is still reasonably quick. I mean, if you're looking at a court appeal deadline, you're looking at 20 days, and then actually oftentimes there are ways to extend that. And so I think that the 10 working day deadline is reasonable here, especially given that people are going to have to arrange it in their schedule as well. So anyway, that's the big overview of this. It is, I am still wrapping my brain around a lot of it. I have reviewed it several times. I've not committed it to memory. But it is, in its current form, it is, in my opinion, valid. It is doable. I want to get the penalties maybe pinned down just a little bit to see if we want to state what the penalties are or state how they're determined rather than simply leave them as county infractions there. But right now that would work. You have a range that's allowed under 331. But I think that the definitions and the offenses under here really address the situation that was the board's concern, was the concern behind the incident that led to this. And so this is a big step forward. It hasn't, it's funny when I employ other resources, like using another county's ordinance, using AI, talking to other attorneys, the process did not become easier. It became more difficult. And like Michelle's reminded us of today, you know, we've got certain things already covered in our contract, and we could probably mention that. I want to be careful how we mention that because we don't want to make this dependent on a contract that may or may not exist in the future. But at the same time, I also don't want it to mistakenly override that contract. And so there's ways we can work that in there. I should probably pull that again. I hadn't thought to do that right away, although I was considering that contract here and there as I went through this. So that to me sounds like a mouthful. But
Very much.
any questions you have at this point, or
Yeah, Mike, I got one I want
Yeah.
to bring to you. And looking at this, I was recently informed an area we have in the county, it's a residential area, where a person had goats in their backyard and one passed away and they left the carcass.
Had what in the backyard?
Goat.
Goat, sorry.
So, in what we're looking at establishing here, would this give us criteria to confront the homeowner then about taking care of the dead animal at that point? Or even if he's leaving it out there, like what happened, finding him for that?
Well, so under
You just
animal hoarding, for what it's worth, if you look at number 2 under section 2, it states that it says animal hoarding means the collection, housing, or harboring of animals under circumstances involving one or more of the following. And letter B says the collection of dead animals that are not properly disposed of. In addition, there are, I recall there are other things dealing with authority about disposal. I have to go back, I haven't memorized this yet, so I'd have to go back and read it specifically. But this does give us authority to at least go and say, hey, look, we consider this to be hoarding if you're not doing something with this. You need to properly dispose of this. They also talk about good animal husbandry in here. And so I think that, I can go and get you a more particular answer based on the entire thing by going back through it. But I believe that it does give us that authority. It certainly was designed to give us that authority.
Okay.
If you got somebody in Washburn who's got goats, now this doesn't prohibit them from having those by any means, because this is a county-wide ordinance that I'm proposing. But at the same time, it does say, hey, look, if you got animals, you've got to take care of proper disposal. If you're keeping dead animals around, that could be considered hoarding. There might be somebody tries to split a hair and say, well, is one animal a collection? But I think through the back and forth, the fact that you address the problem as possible animal hoarding is going to be motivation enough for them, or certainly should be, for them to take care of that, because that creates nuisance in general by being, creating a smell, creating an unsightly situation, and the like. Probably
Sure.
brings vermin in too.
They just have to have a fee that's high enough to make them do it, I guess, is
Yeah.
what we need to do. is
Well,
those kinds of things.
Well, and if you're looking at a $500 fine for
Yeah.
not doing it, I think that's a pretty significant threat for
Yeah, me
most
too.
people.
I didn't see in here anything about sort of compounding infractions. So happens once, that's one thing. Happens 2, 3, 4 times, that penalty should frankly get a hell of a lot stiffer.
I will address that,
Yeah.
and I know that 331.307 or an associated statute does address that for purposes of county home rule.
Okay.
But let me make sure that that is abundantly clear for purposes of this ordinance. Compounding offenses and heightening penalties for them.
Correct.
Well, what we're here today to address for Dan particularly was he had such a terrible experience with multiple, and if you want to speak to that, Dan, you can. I know Mike, it's unfortunate Mike wasn't here that day. Multiple instances where his animal, his dog, kept being bitten, and so it was a dog roaming free. It was a dog that kept attacking his dog. And when law enforcement was called, their answer was they could do nothing because we didn't have a dangerous dog ordinance. So whatever it need, this is where this all
And
came from to address, but
We definitely had a dangerous
yeah.
animal
We did.
statute under state law that could have been enforced. The problem is it didn't address clearly, if you look at 717, is it B or is it F? I'd have to go back and look, but it's not clear about when you have animals attacking other animals, and this specifically addresses that. I don't know why that is. I don't know if I misread it. I'm human too, but I did not see that through multiple reads of the parts that lay out the actual offense under state law. And that's, in my opinion, that's a dangerous loophole in this, if indeed that exists. I mean, it appears to.
Yeah. Dan, did you give your name and address before you, I was gonna say.
Dan Puttery's Waterloo. Actually, I'm here at the request of the sheriff's department. They want some sort of policy.
Yep.
Because they do not like irresponsible pet owners, as do I. And when they have to go back to the same individual numerous times and have the same conversation without being able to bite them, it doesn't have any effect.
Yep, and I agree with that, and that's where this makes animal at large, dangerous animal at large, these are made offenses under here. They're defined and they're made offenses under here.
Sounds like we're moving in the right direction. I appreciate that.
It's it's kind of funny. I deal with a whole lot of different things. I have to be kind of a jack of all trades in this position, and so the issue hadn't come up in the past. It sounds like it's coming up for law enforcement more than we all realize sometimes. And so I appreciate you coming and bringing this to everybody's attention. The interesting thing is, or the unfortunate thing is, we didn't have one to begin with. I was kind of surprised. It's like, oh yeah, it's not buried in one of these other ordinances. We can't really do this.
I figured it wouldn't be easy because there's not too many counties, when I researched, that have a policy. Cities all do, but counties don't.
Well, and we don't, and you're right, city ordinances, we didn't want to go do a city ordinance per se, because while we technically could, we're not dealing with within the cities, we're dealing with the unincorporated areas, and, people have a different understandings of what their pets can do, when they're out in the country, but at the same time, we still shouldn't be allowing them to attack, whether it be attacking people or attacking other animals. Attacking farm animals, that would be equally bad.
We're on the right track, so I appreciate it.
You bet.
So what are we thinking timeline, Mike? Because, like I say, it's become much more.
The question is where the board wants to go in terms of how this evolves. If we are ready to, I would like to have a week or so to make another change and address some of the concerns that have been brought up today, including some of those that I brought up myself. I'm going to eliminate all that stuff on the back, and that's included with this. Specifically, I'm going to want to include this compounding offenses concern that Supervisor Hall brought up. This should not take that terribly long to address. So it should be in a position where we can start bringing it back next week. Then we have to start the process of passing a county ordinance. There will be, under code, there's 3 readings. We typically can waive some. I don't know that we should under this one. This one kind of sounds like one where we might want to go ahead and just have our 3 readings. I've got to look at the publication requirements. It's been a little while since we've had to do a new ordinance. The last one dealt with Jake breaks, but I'm not positive.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we will, when we next discuss this, I'll also discuss the ordinance passage procedure, and we'll go from there. But it's going to be a process of probably a couple of months, and it's one where ultimately, there's got to be a hearing, there's got to be readings, and there's got to be an ultimate passage of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we talking probably September, October then?
I would think
timeline?
October's probably what we're looking at realistically.
You'll bring it back to us before then, though. You need to.
Oh, I was thinking we'd take it up again next week.
Next week or the week
in a
after.
new draft form, which I'd try to get to you before the end of this week. And then we kind of go from there. Right now, the fact that I finally was able to push out what reads like a final product is the big hump I had to get over. Now we're talking about smaller humps in terms of being able to accomplish this with all of the interruptions that come in typical workday and whatnot. And so I feel pretty good about where this is going. I'll also look at the title numbers under our ordinances, and I'll propose a title number for this in that draft, so we don't have all these hashtags on here. If you want to see a copy of it, feel free to ask any board member for it, or their office. They can get that to you as well, so you can take a look through it.
So you're planning to do that to us in the next week?
Before the end of this week, I'd like to have that next draft. Yep.
And then be prepared to discuss those updates next week?
That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to put it on the agenda again next week for discussion and possible board action.
Okay.
I do have one question. Would any documented prior attacks to this ordinance being passed or implemented count towards anything?
We cannot make what are referred to as ex post facto laws. At least I kind of see that. I don't think we can make it retroactive in a sense that prior attacks that weren't deemed to be a violation of county ordinance are now deemed to count toward the compounding offenses, so to speak. So
Okay.
short answer is no.
Be effective, the
Understand.
date of the hearing that we'd approve it is actually going to be larger officials.
Yeah.
I think it has to be published.
What?
I think it does have to be published.
Yeah,
It
it
has
has-
to be
Well, I mean,
published and
it
it has
has
to be
published,
placed.
but I just meant-
But
When we voted
after,
for
it's like after you pass it, then we have to get it in the paper, and I can't remember if there's a waiting period before it's effective.
There is, I believe, and it also has to be made available. I think the rule is to have it made available in the auditor's office, and I think that we have also made it available physically in the board office in the past as well.
Have there been any more attacks, Dan, since you've been here?
Not since the last one, no.
Really?
I was kind of afraid to ask, but I'm glad to hear that.
Mike, under definition 21, vicious
Yep.
dog,
Yes,
even
that's
if.
a big one.
Yeah, so even, would we be able, if there were documented instances with a dog, wouldn't some of those still apply? So that you could designate, not penalize, but could designate that in the event of another attack, that we don't have to say, well, that dog has to attack 2 or 3 more times in order to trigger
That's a very good
enhanced.
point. You can use the prior attacks to determine whether it violates currently as a vicious dog. Now, because it says it's a dog that, has without provocation attacked a person or domestic animal and caused serious injury or death. We talk about the history through other incidents
Yeah.
and stuff, but you can't count those as prior offenses for purposes
Sure.
of compounding the
For the
penalty,
fee,
Yeah.
which
yeah,
is
the
how I
penalty,
understood
but
the.
Yeah.
you could for-
Right,
yeah, you
right.
can use it
I
for the
think you
history.
definitely bring it up as evidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
The history, so
And
to
I
speak,
apologize
right?
if I misunderstood
No,
your
that's fine.
question.
It's just not, yeah, you didn't mean the penalty so much as using it for the information.
I just want the problem to go away.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Simple.
let's fix it and get it done. Yeah.
Whatever means necessary, short of me having to take care of the problem myself, which I don't feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd hate to have to address that where you're taking it into your own hands here.
Which
And this
really
should allow a deputy or another officer, person designated by the sheriff's office to pick that dog up.
Yeah.
Place it into holding while these determinations or evaluations are made.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, any other questions from you?
No, I
Or
don't have any other.
Any others from all of
I was
you?
gonna ask you after.
Yeah.
We've already talked about it. I'm gonna give my card with some information. I just had a dog attack, a pit bull attacked a dog we were watching. Super scary. So I'm gonna ask, what happens in that case if the dog's attacking and then I, not armed with a pistol or anything, but like a knife or something, then jump in to defend my dog? How does that play into
Well,
the?
and I'll have to, we didn't address the self-defense aspects of things here. Maybe we want to bring that up, but I'm gonna have to do some additional research on that if we wanna get in,
Like
to
what you do,
self-defense.
wow.
As a personal, and I'll check into that further because I just do not remember reading anything about that in the process, but I will get back to you on this.
If I see my 45-pound golden doodle attacked by this unneutered, it's a pit bull. I mean, it's probably 90 pounds, and that actually got taken in because it had no vaccine for rabies. Like I said, I'm not gonna be calling the police and asking permission because when I see that dog being torn up, I'm not gonna.
If you're out in the country, I can totally sympathize if somebody says, "Look, I got a pistol, I'm gonna shoot that thing," and so I get why you're saying that. I'll have to look into
Yeah,
that
I wouldn't have a
further.
firearm, it would be a.
That I don't know that I can create an enabling rule for that. The question is just whether it's allowed under current law and whether it would be permitted under this. I can look into that. So absolutely. give me your
Hypothetical,
info.
with the
Yep.
dog attacking me.
Yeah.
If it's
Oh,
my-
yeah.
My alarm and I'm.
And I guarantee you, there is, you can, I want to stop short of saying I guarantee, but if you're defending yourself, you better do what you have to do. And I don't think anybody is going to cite you with an animal abuse infraction, especially when the dog's on your property. And I believe that's under the state dog bite.
Yeah, and this dog actually came running off their property on the sidewalk, so I'm scared because I'm right down the street from St. John's Church. You see the balls and those kids come walking by.
Yeah.
There's
So
no
you're in
fence.
town as
City
well.
Mike, this,
So
this
you want to
actually,
look at the city ordinances too on that, but I don't know that they address the self-defense aspect. So, yeah, give
so
me-
just to clarify this, Mike, this is only applicable to unincorporated parts of the county,
Correct.
correct?
That is the limit of our legislative
Yep.
authority for this
Correct.
board. Yeah, so this actually doesn't impact your area, but having said that, state law, I believe, does, I have to check, certainly municipal law does. And and also if there are ever any health regulations about that, which I don't think we have beyond the state vaccination requirements, those would also impact incorporated areas. But ordinances that are passed by this board are not effective in incorporated areas.
Maybe just something to think about.
Yep,
Okay.
it is. That's,
Scary now.
I think, I used to be a paper boy years ago, and I think we've all had incidents where you get that fear that's stricken. And by the way, there is, talk to your lawyer, but there is absolute, there is statutory liability for dog bites in the state of Iowa. And if it's on your property and came from another, that's gonna be very easy to show. So, yeah.
I just want to add real
strict liability.
quick to the conversation, because we deal with animal bite reports, we kind of monitor local jurisdictions that have their own ordinances pretty closely. So in Blackhawk County, Cedar Falls, Dunkerton, Elk Run Heights, Janesville, Jessup, LaPorte City, and Waterloo all have ordinances related to dangerous dogs. That might be information useful too.
We reported this.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Anything
Thanks very
else? Yes, sir.
So, on the appeal stuff, you mentioned the sheriff or the Board of Health or us. Why could we consider just us being that appeal board on a Tuesday?
Well, you can.
could.
Throw it in
I don't
at the
see anything that
beginning
prevents it.
or something?
You just, I think, thought of the health department because of their, like I said, their,
Yep.
I think, responsibilities now is kind of somewhat.
They already have certain authorities that deal with, vaccinations and typically Chapter 351 stuff. But there's nothing, so far as I'm aware, and I'll dig in further on that just to see if I'm overlooking something. I don't think there's anything that prevents the board the Board of Supervisors from being that last route of appeal. I think
Right,
you have the sheriff.
because
be
we're the
first.
ones deciding to put the ordinance into effect.
Yeah.
Initially, and I mean, what are they appealing? Are they arguing that the dog assuming it was a loose dog, either didn't bite somebody that's being alleged or was loose?
Well, they might be arguing, if you read this proposed ordinance pretty carefully, you'll note that there's a lot in there about when a dog bite isn't illegal. For example, if you are, if that dog is acting in defense of
Right,
its
right.
own property, its own owner, its own self, its own young, if you know, people who provoke dogs, that's I mentioned to Justin a little bit ago that you've got this this strict liability under state law for you have that for when a dog bites somebody, but there are exceptions or defenses to that as well. I actually had to litigate that a little bit back when I was in the private practice and had to go to trial on a sad case one time dealing with dog bites. So there are ways that you can try to defend the owner of the dog who bites or where the bite is allowed. And that is why you can kind of see how this ordinance fleshes out those situations. I think I've done a pretty good job drawing the lines where they should be drawn, but read through it carefully, and it's not exciting. And then kind of let me know if you think it's been properly addressed there.
Well, and I think I was thinking too, the things you're talking about, we're really focused on the vicious dog thing today, but there's so many things included in that as far as kennels and animals and all the husbandry kind of things that, like I said, those things people could actually.
And I got to
want
thank
to
Story
appeal.
County for thinking of that stuff for me.
Yeah, thank you, Story, yeah.
But,
So it is, you do need a process in place just in case somebody would be unfairly.
and I think this is where to address those things. Now, we can strip it of all of that stuff and leave it without those, and then there are state laws that will generally rule on that stuff,
yeah.
but won't be as specific. So there, but it's,
Put
you know,
a lot of
I
work
know
into
that the goal here was the vicious dogs, the dangerous dogs who are going off of their property, running at large, attacking people or other pets.
Over and over again, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, or even once. I mean, this
Once would have been, yeah.
Once is a
something to take care of
violation
it,
under
But I just
this.
meant this one's been, yeah, many, many.
Pet
times.
owners need to keep their pets in check.
Yeah, they do. No, thanks for all the work on it, Mike, and
bet.
a lot of progress, but a lot to
Stay
cover.
tuned.
Yeah, right, yeah.
All right.
See you next week. All right.
Yep.
Great. Well, item 9, reports or information from the board.
Last week I had a visit with several folks out in Washburn, covered a lot of items there with them. And one of the things that did come up, and I know Kathy's been really busy with her schedule and load, but question did come up, are we still looking at trying to do something with the drainage ditch and visit with the folks in Washburn yet this fall? So I don't know if Kathy, you have any information or updates for us at this point yet?
We are continuing to work on that. I can give you an update next Tuesday on that.
That would help. They're just asking again
Yes.
about
Timeline.
timeline.
Yeah, timeline, yes.
Okay. And then last thing I had is, again, next Wednesday, the 26th, is our township town hall. Gabby's been reaching out to the department heads about getting the slides together. We're gonna put everything in one PowerPoint, and then hopefully get more word out to the townships here this week.
Well, I had a comment at the last Blackhawk Grundy Mental Health Board meeting that it was just kind of an awareness to us because the agency was being, informed of some of the changes and things going on because of the laws and mentioned that there would be, just to FYI to us, 8,000 people in Blackhawk County that will be losing their Medicaid by the end of the year. And so that was going to make for a lot of changes, and also that maybe they could utilize some assistance in, some of the people that were no longer going to be having that too. There were going to be some needs or some requirements for them to work in community service or at least have jobs and things like that to qualify for some of the things that they were qualifying for. So maybe there'd be some ways we could help get the word out on positions or things, work that people could be doing to help them meet those requirements. Something to think about. Okay. And nothing else, I guess?
No,
You'd have
let's move
anything?
on.
Oh, okay. Moving on to the closed session, item 10. Thank you all for your patience. This is a resolution to proceed into closed session for discussion of strategy with counsel in matters regarding potential litigation where disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation pursuant to Iowa Code 21.5C.
So moved.
Second.
Please answer if your name is called.
Grant,
Yes.
Kurtenbach,
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland.
Item B, motion to adjourn the closed session.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and closed session is adjourned. Item number 11, convening the board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Chris.